Meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council as sole governing authority, the Plaquemines, Port Harbor, and Terminal District is now called to order. The machines are open for roll call.
Councilmember Edwards?
Is here?
Yes, I'm here.
It's coming up? Let the record reflect that all 9 commissioners are present. And I would ask, as a reminder, of anybody who's joined to make sure their cell phone is turned off. First item on the agenda, Chris.
Item 2, executive session, there is none. Item 3, status report by the Executive Court Director.
So, good evening, Commissioners. I thought I would start today's report with just lessons learned from Hurricane Francine. Obviously, it was not a big event for us, but we did take it seriously. And a few items here that we noted that we want to make sure that we're looking at moving forward. The number one item was, and you guys have a book in front of you, and you can flip through each page and follow the presentation. So that if you want to take any notes, ask any questions on the back end, feel free to do so. But the first thing, there was questions that came up during our couple of our EOC meetings about, what time the ferry was going to stop, what time the ferry is going to start back. And what we're going to look at in the future is creating a central cruise that will stay here. So once we shut down, we'll have crews here as we're monitoring the ferries so that, if we need to do something with the ferry, at the last minute, we'll be able to do that instead of having to call crews back after they actually leave. So that was one thing. One of the other things was we have a couple of towable rescue boats, and we ended up parking one on somebody else's pad down in Venice. And in the future, we want to make sure that we have a nice pad where we can secure that towable boat. So when we need it, if we need it, that, it's on some port property and that we're ready to move with it. Obviously, there was a lot of discussion about the generator. We had some challenges with our generator, but we were able to work through those challenges, and we came up with a punch list of items that's already underway. One of them being we're going to put an emergency bypass switch on the generator itself, so that if it does go down, that we'll have a contract in place to bring a portable in and just plug it in, plug and go. And then some other minor housekeeping things that we'll be taking care of. Communications, just incident command review. We want to make sure that we take a closer look at that, and that we look at our radios closer, and make sure that we all know what channels everybody are communicating on, and so that in the event of emergency, we can quickly communicate. And then the last thing is cameras. This was the first storm that we actually experienced where we have cameras up and down the river. So we were actually able to lay eyes on the ferry landings, and since the hurricane, we actually have more cameras in place. And we want to make sure that we're watching our critical assets, but also that we're watching the anchorages. As you can see on this photo here, up and down our 81-mile district, probably 80% of our vessels, the sterns were sitting against the Batcher. And some of them, they were sitting in soft mud, and the pilots were able to work through it. But the pilots also found, pilots in the Coast Guard, there were 2 vessels that actually broke loose during the storm. So again, we've been very successful in getting funding for cameras. We have high definition cameras that are night vision, fog busting, that and we have an MSOC in place now where we can actually see assets on the river. So we'll be watching that and integrating our communication with the Coast Guard and with the pilots a little better. Next slide, please. So the next slide is the financials. So what we will do moving forward is make sure that we provide a graph along with our fund balance. And this is a pretty straightforward slide. We are going to do a 2024 budget adjustment. We're going to be introducing that and making some minor adjustments. But for the most part, budget-wise, we're on track. If you want to see the numbers a little closer on on the slide, the graph off to the right, if you take a look at the next page, so you can actually see the numbers themselves. And then if you look in the back of the book, we have all of our financials in the back of the book. So what we're going to start doing is making sure that we provide all of this data the day before our meetings. Any questions on the financials?
Commissioner McCarty.
I love having this data available to us. Now, if we needed something during the middle of the week or so, would we be able to access this online?
Yes, well, I talked to Tommy today, and what we're planning to do on Monday, the day of the meeting, instead of Tommy sending the financials to me to review, the financials will be sent directly to the commission, and those will be the financials that we're looking at in this report.
Okay, but will we be able to go on, like if we were away or for some reason we wanted to see something, could we go to a website, our website, log in and look? Just wondering.
We can take a look at that. I think the budget, you can see the budget. So am I hearing you ask will you be able to see because this is a biweekly report, and on most of them, there's not going to be much change.
I'll talk to you offline.
Okay, all right. So the next slide, just looking over the past month, as you can see, the port's been very successful with grants. I mean, we got a port security grant of $1.6 million. We received a check for, I think, $358,000 for a drone program from DOTD. We received that $4.7 million FTA as a ferry grant, and that's for new landing barges for the ferries, as well as we did receive the letter for the funding for the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund, and we are well over $2 million in that trust fund today, and we you guys may have seen the policy that we put out on how we're going to be managing this and moving forward. And what we will be pushing to the parish is to give us projects that they think they may need to do in the next year so that we can go to the Corps of Engineers and, maybe request a little more. But we are up to date. We actually have the 2023 funds allocated to us right now. So we are up to date on the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund. So then when you look at overall, was there a question?
Comment.
Okay. Well, you look at overall, I mean, the port has over $77 million in grants that we've actually pulled in over the last 19, 20 months. And of that, about $50 million is for the ferry. So, we've been very aggressive and going out and not applying for just any grant, but we've been selectively looking at grants that actually fit our needs and grants where we have a high probability of winning. And we've done well. The next slide. So we had, for the Point LaHash Ferry Landing emergency repairs, we actually had our first meeting with Deep South, and you could see the group, a happy group of characters standing there in front of some steel beams behind us. And the steel beam that you're looking at behind us is actually, that backdrop is the bridge to one of the landings. So that project is well underway. Both of the bridges from both East and West Bank have been removed, and they've been taken away from the site. The West Bank barge that had a hole in it has been taken away from the site, and currently we're waiting on the riprap. And again, we do have the $18.6 million grant for the replacement. There is discussion going back and forth with DOTD and Hardesty and Hanover. We heard that it was awarded to another contractor, And we are, Mr. Brown and myself are tracking this very closely, and we're doing everything that we can to keep this project moving. Next slide. Yes, yes, okay. Next slide is the new bill diesel electric ferry. I mean, that's been awarded to Pelican Marine, and Mr. Brown and I are working on getting a meeting with Pelican. That contract, it is a design, a consulting contract. It was awarded by DOTD to Pelican Marine. So part of the slowdown for us is coordinating with DOTD to actually meet with Pelican Marine. But this is going to be a diesel electric ferry. And the thing that's exciting to us here at the port is that it is going to cut our fuel costs probably 70%. And that is a big part of the expenses that we have. So one of the things that we can control is how we procure stuff like this in the future, things that, don't cost us as much to operate. And then just a reminder, the Pride is out. It is out for at least 6 months. It's going into the yards, and when it comes back, it's going to be nice and renewed and painted. But in the meantime, during the peak hours, we are going to be running 2 ferries, and we will be trying to stay in front of the traffic. Walker Road, obviously a $7.4 million grant for the bridge is in place, and we are still aiming for obligation next month. And obviously that it's not in our control, but everything that we could have done, we've done. We've completed the application, and we're just waiting on a response. Again, I'd like to just point out that that we're aiming for a groundbreaking of the third quarter of 2026. So there's a lot of engineering work that's got to take place between now and then to make sure that we stay on track. Myself, Brian Champagne, and Commissioner Schultz, we've met with the parish president, and we're aligning ourselves, to try to make that date timeline, and with the completion of the fourth quarter of 2027. Next slide, please. And so this slide here, I'm very excited about. Yesterday, we had our first alignment meeting with Jefferson Parish, with HDR, with the City of Gretna, with the Union Pacific on the Peters Road rail bypass. But what you see to the left is a alignment drawing that actually includes, if you look at that black alignment in there, that actually includes the road bridge. I know that's a little tight, and it was kind of a last minute thing that we were able to get in there, but I'm pretty excited about that because we have not had a combined alignment yet. And one of the things that we're looking at with this alignment is the bridge is actually a 2-lane bridge, but it's designed for a future sister bridge. And so we have to make sure that what we do with that, the alignment of the rail bridge and the vehicle bridge, that the alignment is right for us to add that second bridge at a future time. Just quickly, Sustainability Partners. I mean, we are still waiting on a response on the early termination. We haven't received that yet, and as soon as we do, we will notify everyone. The 11-mile extension, we are ready to continue, but we also need to close out the Sustainability Partners agreement before we move too much further. Container port land purchase, we continue to work on that, and the conversation that we're having now is to look at rezoning everything as we move forward. So that slowed us down a little bit, but we are going to continue with that. And then lastly here, one notable item is we had a call with Martin and Associates a week ago on the 5 deepwater port study that we participated in with the other deepwater ports. And then I had a one-on-one meeting, a call with them on this Monday I will tell you, in looking at the data that's been produced, there are no surprises to me. I mean, the numbers that they produced are very similar to numbers that we produced in 2023. But we are going to continue to meet and work through finalizing that document. I think they're aiming for some time in November for a final product. Next slide. And then obviously a big event for us, maiden voyage, Venture Global. We are planning to present Venture Global with the plaque for the maiden voyage of this vessel. And we look forward with a plaque with the first voyage for this facility. This is a big deal for us at the port because you only get to turn the lights on once. And so they're turning the lights on. They turn the lights on here, and we're off to a new chapter here in Plaquemines Port. Next. Lastly, we hired the Director of Projects. She starts on Monday. And as of yesterday, we received official approval from Civil Service on the special entry rate. And we have an agreement to work together to create some final, some official rates for our ferry captains and ferry engineers that will be more competitive in the future so that as we reopen Point Lahash in January, that the couple of people that we know we have out there in the pipeline, we want to be able to bring them in so that we can continue to run the extended service at Belle Chase while also running a service at Point Lahash. We recently interviewed two attorneys for the executive council position. We have another one scheduled for next week. We have 4 commissioners that will be interviewing these council as well, and we look forward to getting through that process and getting someone on board. And we just received this morning the list of qualified candidates for the Port Assistant Manager, and we will start interviewing there as soon as possible. And we are advertising for the CFO. We have received at least 6 or 7 resumes that actually they're very well qualified candidates. We do have a CPA requirement in there, and so we are getting ready to start looking through those as we speak. Then obviously my contract expires at the end of November, and so some of those discussions are getting ready to get underway. And then we did something different last month. We actually had our first official, what we're calling a port night. We're going to do this once a quarter. As you could see from the pictures, and I think the pictures really are worth a million words. On the left, I mean, you have Jefferson Parish, you have Plaquemines Parish, you have Plaquemines Port, you have our Port Commission, our council. We have the city mayor of Gretna. And this is just an example of the collaborative relationship that we've developed over the last year and a half. And then to the right, you can see that the port had actually other port directors come and celebrate with us. So Paul Matthews from South Louisiana, and then Ricky Self, he's the executive director from the Port of Lake Charles. So we're planning for that next event, which will be November 10th, November 12th, and we will be putting information out on that shortly. What's that? So again, another collaborative effort here. I mean, we did the Hilo tour with the chair and co-chair of the new Port Commission. We also had the treasurer, Dr. Fleming, there with us, and we had Senator Carter with us, and we had staff actually from the governor's office. So again, this is just another example of how we've been really collaborating to forward, our projects that, touch that Peters Road Rail Bypass and Peters Road Rail Bridge. And last but not least, I did participate on a trip from the Southwest Pass. As you can see, we boarded a ship, it was probably 3-foot seas, and we rowed the ship in. I really wanted to go and have a discussion with the bar pilots on Pilot Town Anchorage, because there are some future dredging needs there at that anchorage, and we want to make sure that we fully understand that so that we could help the pilots and the Coast Guard. With that, that concludes my report.
Any questions from the floor? From the commissioners? Crystal, next item on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. LaFrance.
Yes. When do we expect?
Hold on.
Over there. When do?
I got it.
She got it.
Why do you have to jump on two different programs? Bullshit.
When do we expect the riffraff to be delivered?
So it's on the water,
Uh-huh.
and I think it's a matter of, so we're thinking next week.
Okay.
So, but it's on barges and it is on the river.
Okay, good.
It's coming from Kentucky.
All right. When we say diesel electric, explain that to me.
So it is a,
Do it run on diesel or electric,
So it-
or it run on diesel and electric at the
so,
same time?
so it will be running electric, but it will be charged through diesel power. So when it has to be recharged,
So that would be a generator?
yes. We do, and we are working on additional grant funding for additional shore power as well.
Good.
Did we ever start advertising in the AMPA? Any positions?
I believe, did we get that to A? Yes, it did go out to AAPA.
Has anybody responded from there?
We would have, we'd have to see, we'd have to check.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner McCarty?
No, sorry.
Commissioner Edwards?
Mr. Tilton, I really want to thank you, and the people have a sense of hope that they saw that the landing is dead. I did some coverage. I don't know if we got any coverage from the west bank of the river, so I can't say. But anyway,
Better than that.
Well, it just.
no, but people are really excited, to see that both of the landings are gone. So people have a sense of hope that they can see something come back with the ferry. The other thing that I had a chance to go to the dinner when the Department of Transportation was there. And I was really excited, and I know I give you probably the hardest time to anybody on this council, but I really was excited about the fact that the Department of Transportation and other people that was there was talking about how the Peters Road project was a project been happening way before you thought about coming here, and it was complimenting, the work that the port is doing to move this thing forward. So I just wanted to give you kudos on that. So it was good to hear that. And in my position, I still think that we got to get a lot of project on hand. I know there's a lot of things that's continuously on Peters Road, but I still think there's the need to see more project. But I was really, the folks are really excited about what's happening with the ferry.
Thank you.
You yield? Crystal, next item on the agenda?
Item 4, bids and advertisements. There are none. Item 5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. These are all for Commissioner Champagne. A resolution adopting the new civil service employee handbook for the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District, policies and procedures, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District in accordance with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to advertise for the construction for Phase 2 of the Alliance Booster Station feed line extension, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Resolution requesting authority to advertise with contingency, port responsible for engineering. An ordinance authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to enter into an agreement with IEM to enhance the port security plan. A resolution authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Executive Director of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to issue task order number 6-1 for Lanier and Associates to provide property boundary and topographic surveys for the Popage Building and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution approving and authorizing Charles D. Tillotson, Port Executive Director, to enter into a master services agreement with Kyle Associates LLC for the Point LaHash Access Road Project and other services on a task order basis and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution adopting the updates and additions to the operating policies and procedures for Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution to authorize administrators to be listed on all port bank accounts and credit cards and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to advertise a request for proposals for grass cutting services for the port and adjacent properties and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is it.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Did we get both of the DOTD?
Yep, both of them on it.
You got both?
Yep.
The state
The
and the
state.
ports?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item.
6B, an ordinance authorizing Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to enter into a lease agreement with Bridget D. Christopher, owner of Bridget's Barber Shop, for a certain portion of the Popage Building South parking lot located at 8056 Highway 23, Belchase, Louisiana, and otherwise with respect thereto.
I offer and ask for a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner McCarty. And just to clear this up, all it is for some overflow parking. This facility's already built a parking lot, but just in case people go in there, they just want to make sure they pay restitution for some of the parking they may use. Any comments from the floor, from the commissioners? Machines are open.
She cut my hair this week.
And the ordinance passes 9-0. Next item on the agenda.
C, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance 23-100 adopted on July 27, 2023 by the Plaquemines Parish Council, acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing Port Executive Director Charles D. Tillotson to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and Plaquemines Parish Government for shared resources and services, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer and ask for a second. Second by Commissioner McCarty. Any comments from the floor? From the Port Commission? Commissioners? Machines are open. Oh, got one. Commissioner Kognovich.
What's this CEA about?
This is just a continuation of the existing CEA, and what we're adding to it is the grant writing services, sharing our grant writer with the parish with the same rate.
To cut grass?
No, it's for both. It's for both. Read it,
No,
grass cutting and grant.
It's both. It's
And,
grant
and
writing
both.
and
And.
cutting grass. It's both.
So
I think they need to be separate.
we gonna start cutting grass for the parish?
So the port will start cutting grass at the adjacent properties on Highway 23 to the port land. So below Venture Global, and through that other port land,
So is DOTD gonna pay up the port now?
so as of right now, what we've been asked to do is just to cut that grass, and we just agreed. So we have identified a strip of land. We're introducing an RFP. That RFP will have a map to specifically identify exactly what grass we will cut. And for us, I mean, we're just thinking about it from a safety point of view. We want to make sure that we keep it nice and groomed so that we don't have any brush fires, so that we don't have any issues with, anybody having visibility issues going on and off of port property.
Like I brought up in the council meeting, it seems like the parish is cutting less and less grass and they're getting paid to cut Highway 23.
Yeah, so we're limiting it to the property adjacent to where the port owns the land.
But it's still a right of way for Highway 23, right?
Correct.
It is.
So are they gonna keep DOT's money for that mile or so? Or
There is not a discussion to reimburse the port. I mean, at this point, what we're just focused on is just making sure that as we're working to develop that port, that land that we own, that we keep it cut nice and neat so that we don't have any safety issues.
I will try to stay park.
No, just to add to your question, one of the things we talked about was by doing this, the port can keep the area that we're responsible for responsibly cut. And number two, by doing that, allow the parish to accelerate its timeline and maybe speed up and reduce the height of the grass other places in the parish, so it becomes mutually supportive.
If the parish owns the port owns the property, we gotta cut it. But the right of way for Highway 23 is owned by DOTD, and they pay the parish to keep it cut. So now we're gonna cut it for free, and the parish pay somebody else to cut the right of way somewhere else.
No, I don't quite see it that way. I see it as a cooperative agreement. We're agreeing to help out. And that's it. I mean, they have a certain amount of money, but the amount of money they have certainly doesn't cover their expenses for both manpower, maintenance, and fuel. It doesn't. And what we're doing is just helping them out. I mean, the port's in a position where they can do it. We're only the port's limited to the port property and hopefully freeing up the parish to be able to help out in other areas, particularly down the road where the grass is, higher than a car.
And thank you, Commissioner Champagne. And really, what we're focused on is just when we talked about it, we had to do a lot of thinking about it. We went out, we assessed it, and we would just want to make sure that the land that's adjacent to the port, that it is safe, that we don't have people pulling out, not able to see because the grass is too high, and we have an accident in that area, or that we have some type of brush fire or something like that. So it's just it's a safety measure.
Commissioner Schultz?
So my original question was going to be about grant writing services. However, I'm looking at the CEA, and this is not the most recent CEA. Council secretary only had 20%, civil service at 8%, parish council at 20%. We voted last year to up that to be more accurate because civil service based on actual employees, parish council 50%. I thought secretary 50%. Yeah, so I don't like that we're signing this with those errors in there because now this is the most current copy and it's not the right percentages. And then grant writing, what exactly? That back to my original thing before I saw that. What are we actually doing with the grant writing? I knew about the grass cutting, but
Okay, so first things first, the percentages, we will go back, before we sign this, we will verify those percentages.
Okay.
And we will communicate that back. I thought this was the most recent version, and if it's not, we will get it corrected right away. The second thing, if you remember, we passed the Rockwood Steel grant writing contract, I think, back in July. And there is a provision in that contract for Rockwood Steel to actually write grants for the parish as well. However, when it comes to passing money between the port and the parish, it has been communicated to the port through our 2022 audit that we have to have that in a CEA. So that's the reason for adding both of those items, because we're passing money back and forth, and we're just tying it to that existing CEA for services that we're sharing.
my question and concern is we have this. We're paying, what is it, $100,000 to the grant writer, I think? Is what's in our, is this going to take away her priorities for the port? Because now she's having a split, or the firm is having a split time now for the parish and the port.
Yeah,
Is that going to take away from her priorities for the port, is what I'm asking?
I appreciate that question, and no, I mean, essentially, we talked through this with the owner of Rockwood Steel, and they do have other resources that they can bring to.
So they're basically piggybacking on our contract then, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the benefit, Commissioner Schultz, is, now we can start sharing stories between the port and the parish and the benefits for cost analysis for these grants. And I think one of the things that should be really evident is that, we have a successful strategy in place right now, and we're being, winning a lot more grants than we're not at this point. So we just want to make sure that we share that resource with the parish.
Yep. Okay, like I said, I want to verify the percentages because I remember last year during budget time, we talked about it and then modified the CEA, and I know we weren't at these current percentages.
Yeah, I'm going to continue the discussion, but we'll go ahead and defer this to clear that up. But I think this discussion needs to be had, and I think it's worthy. So let's continue that and we'll defer it. So do you yield, Commissioner Schultz?
Yeah, that actually works because we have the RFP for the grass cutting to vote on at the next meeting. So to do them both at the same time would work just fine.
Commissioner McCarty.
I was just gonna ask,
Oh, disappeared.
It disappeared. Hold on.
There you go. Well, you getting it
I
now.
agree with deferring this, but I wanted to ask,
Getting it now.
Mr. Garrett, is it okay for the port to cut the grass when the parish is being paid by the state for cutting that same grass? Where's Garrett?
Yeah, shit.
There we go. I would think that if the parish is not going to cut it, they're not going to be submitting a request for payment from the state. Now, it may be that they're going to still request it from the state, and then that'll be part of what gets transferred then to the port. In other words, I would presume that that's how that would run. I mean, I haven't looked at the agreement between the state and the parish. That's more Rennie's thing.
But it sounds like if the parish is paid by the state, it's not allowable for the port to cut the grass unless the parish pays the port. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it just means that there would have to be an agreement between the port and the parish that would include the grass cutting. And it doesn't have to be a per se one-to-one. It can be, look, you do this for us, we do that for you, and that's the quid pro quo.
Okay.
So that there's no donation.
Yeah, you'll.
Right.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, I would love to see it being two separate agreements. I'm just wondering why we had to combine the two, because there's some things that's different between the two.
It's because it's one CEA.
It's one CA.
We're just modifying.
So do the
adding-
existing CA
Yeah,
have
this is-
do the existing one have the grant writer in it?
No, this is the existing one, and all we're doing is adding lines here. Everything else stays the same. All you're doing is adding that. That's it. Everything else is already.
Thought it was. Okay, we're good. All right, we're going to defer this item till directing agent to clear up those percentages, and we'll be ready at the next port meeting. All right, so this item is deferred. Next item on the agenda.
7, new business. 7A, introduction of resolutions where a suspension is being sought. 7A1, a resolution amend and is amended Resolution 23-314 that approved the issuance for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for all for all Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor and Terminal District for all departments, port assets for 2024 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer for suspension. First, we're going to suspend the rules, vote for that, then we'll vote on the resolution. So, there's only one. Right, let's do both.
A resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing and directing Special Counsel Danny P. Garrett III to seek rehearing of the opinion of the First Circuit Court of Appeals in the matter of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District versus State of Louisiana DOTD in plenary, docket number 2024 CA0099, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer for a suspension of the rules. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Schultz. Machines are open. And the vote for suspension is passed, 9-0. Now we'll go ahead and offer up item 71.
A resolution amend and is amended Resolution 23-314 that approved the insurance for the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District for all departments, port assets for 2024 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer and ask for a second. Second from Commissioner McCarty. Any comments from the floor? From the Port Commission? From the commissioners? Machines are open. Any item passes 9-0. Okay, next item, 7A2.
A resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing and directing Special Counsel Danny P. Garrett III to seek rehearing of the opinion of the First Circuit Court of Appeals in the matter of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District versus State of Louisiana, DOTD and plenary, docket number 2024, CA 0099, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer. Ask for a second. Seconded by Commissioner Schultz. Comments from the floor? From the Port Commission? From the commissioners? Machines are open. And it passes 9-0. Next item on the agenda.
8, approval of the August 22nd, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Have a motion to approve the minutes. Offered by Commissioner LaFrance, second by Commissioner Newsom. Machines are open. Watch this, watch this. And it passes 9-0. Commissioner Edwards, would you like to offer a motion to adjourn? Motion offered by Commissioner Schultz, seconded by Commissioner Newsom. Machines are open.
Oh, sorry.
Love the company.
We need to buy them a copy.
And the motion to adjourn passes 7 in favor, 1 against Commissioner Schultz, and 1 abstention by Commissioner Edwards. Like the record state that the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor and Terminal District meeting has ended at 6:09 PM on Thursday, September 26th.